Greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and today I'm joined by Vector Maximus and Darkest Light, and we are going to very briefly, probably, discuss the map of the Maghreb, and then discuss uh, the actual meat of today, which is going to be the navies. So, whoa, fellas, look at the. Also, yeah, hello, Yusuf. Late, late, late. Whatever you say. A wizard arrives precisely when he means to. What do you say, fellas? Look at this wonderful map. Look, it's so full of life. Um, yeah, cool,
It's
huh?
actually more green if we look at the other maps, it's actually more green and fertile than, many people think of North Africa. I mean, it's
Hmm.
still not super lush by any stretch, but it's at least habitable.
And it's gotten
Um,
worse in modern history.
yes, it's gotten significantly worse in the past 500 years. The Sahara has crept ever northward. So, what is
Well,
decent terrain in this time period becomes much worse in the modern day,
one
unfortunately.
thing,
Sucks for
one.
North Africa.
Turn off my face. One thing that interests me about this map is the fact that we were unsurprisingly correct that Fezan had more land to the west. Uh, and indeed, it is their heartland, interestingly. So they really do just have a absolute ton of these uh, oasis provinces all around the Sahara. And interestingly enough, they are the Sahara country. There doesn't appear to be any other one. I was kind of imagining that once we got over here, we were going to see, was it Tagore? There was like Tagore and Mizab. They're the other ones that were just kind of hanging out near Tunis, but don't see those either. It's just
Mhm.
Fazan and empty space here. But I suppose as we continue on here, they'll show
There's
which bits
oases.
of
It's
it are.
just nobody's. There's oases and corridors. It's just nobody controls either.
All right.
God, they posted a version with the impassable painted. It makes me so happy.
Oh. One without colored wastelands and another with them colored. So yes, you can see
So
mercifully.
they'll actually properly look.
Yeah, Tunis's name looks like presentable in this one. Wow.
What about Morocco or
Yep.
Tlemcen's name?
Morocco and
Come
Tlemcen
on,
are the big.
Tlemcen's
Well,
worse. Look at
Okay, fine,
Tlemcen.
fine. Tunis was the least egregious. You're right. You're right. And then you get Granada actually covering the space there. I like itty bitty Morocco name being shown there. Just a little bit. But yes, now I suppose they're gonna explain that there is a war start at the start between Tlemcen and Morocco, which is just wonderful. I'm sure. I bet that there is all sorts of different ways that this war can go.
Yes. You see, there's this option where Morocco wins, and then there's this other option where Morocco wins hard.
yeah, I Tlemcen doesn't stand much of a shot winning this.
What's the purpose of the war? I guess. Uh, four new countries. Fizan has already appeared. Yep. Dynamic keys. Them similar to the Mamluks, their full name in the game is the Marinid Sultanate of Morocco and Zionid Sultanate of Tlemcen and Hafsid Sultanate of Tunis. That's
I
cool.
think they've got it set up where it'll dynamically change based on your ruling dynasty, so it'll be the blank sultanate of yada yada.
Yeah, that's all
It
of these
doesn't make
dynamic
sense to call
names.
it it doesn't make sense to call it the Marinid Sultanate of Morocco if it's no longer ruled by the Marinids.
I'm sure that they will change it.
Although
Huh.
that does raise questions of will the Ottomans and similar states, the similar Turkish beyliks, which are typically named after their ruling dynasty, um, I don't know. It'd be cool if they have dynamic names, but I would not be surprised if they don't.
Yeah, that's true. We'll have to see. Hmm. But I don't suppose we're gonna get an answer to that until the game's out. I doubt that there's gonna be any questions being answered related to that in here. Are from the Omahats. Century ago, they start at war with the Zionids of Tlemcen, and its capital is close to falling. Oh my god, the capital is almost fallen too. Oh. Yeah, they have a foothold in Iberia. Yes. Yeah, Morocco just ever more seems like they're in a really strong position because of this. They've got that foothold in Iberia. They could take out the they could take out the Grenadans, and they're already gonna at game start be basically destroying the Zionids. So
Gonna be some big boys.
Hmm. Although I imagine there will be an event shortly after game start, because there was some really fascinating discussion in the comments about the status of that little thing that Morocco owns in Iberia, and essentially it ends up getting sold to Grenada just like two or 3 years after game start, and some of the people in the comments even argued that Morocco should only be directly holding about half of that. Grenada has already taken the northern half of that little bit. So essentially, Morocco is holding Gibraltar at the start and not much more. And then they sell it to Grenada.
That's
So,
all you need. That's all you put a fort on there, and then march your troops across once when you declare war on Grenada.
But there isn't a straight crossing
There isn't.
between North Africa. Yeah, there
Oh.
isn't. So
Oh.
the Iberians just have to blockade you, and yeah. And as we'll see in the naval depth diary, the Iberians have unique naval units.
No. All right, Morocco's still pooped. But hello, Legende. Yes, yes. It's good to see you. Um, when did this broadcast start? 6 minutes ago? Well, yeah. We've been doing this for like 6 minutes. This is starting diplomatic situation. Jolly good. Yeah, we're just gonna be briefly going over the map of North Africa, and then we're talking about the meat and potatoes, which is of the Navy stuff, which Vector has just alluded to. But looking at this here, this implies to me, okay, the fact that this bit here is the only piece that's like this gray color makes me think that all the rest is all the rest of this fucking corridors.
Yes, I think those are corridors. I think the dark gray is corridors. The light gray is ownable.
Oh my gosh, that's so much.
I mean, do you think you'll be living in most of the Sahara?
Yeah, easy. Oh my god, that's all one location too. Oh my
Expect
gosh,
it
I
to be
can
multiple? Expect there to be more than one
Yes.
little desert town there?
Yes, I feel so invalidated that my start position in CK3 gets removed in EU4. It's playing Tall Sahara someday. Yeah. As everyone
Well, it's all
knows,
two
my
counties.
as everyone knows, Vlegende, my first game, day one, is gonna be as Fazan, right? I like how it
Before you
doesn't.
turn into Andorra, and then you colonize and become the Blackfoot.
I like that it doesn't even paint in any of these wastelands. They don't own enough of it for them to paint it in, so it just puts their names in little dots. But oh, well, what's a more detailed look? Nah, don't need those. Oh, okay, provinces. That's a little more interesting. They do link all of the corridors and such into, yeah, those locations as well. That's good. Sus. Well, Sahara Oases. That's what they call this? Huh. I mean, okay, fair enough. Mm, arid, cold, arid. But the coast is okay in a lot of places. Yeah, as you folks were telling me, yeah, it's not quite as bad at this point as it becomes. Uh, Flatland, hills. I do love, of course, the mountains. The mountains of what I forget what they call these mountains, but they're splendid.
The Atlas Mountains, I believe.
Yeah.
Remember, they got their name because they thought Atlantis was nearby.
No way.
Pretty
No
sure.
way.
If you look at what, let me find Herodotus's map.
Legende Mountains. I think that was the name of these ones over here. You're mistaking where your mountains were. I do love the desert being just flat. It's so funny. With like occasional hills that you just can't even go through. Right, moving along. There we get to see where the actual desert counties are. Woods over there.
There you go.
Oh, they got some trees. Let's see. The world according to Herodotus.
Atlantis.
We're Mary Atlanticus. So is all of this Mount Atlas, Mount Atlantica? Is all of this because Herodotus thought is the Atlantic
Yes.
Ocean named that because he thought Atlantis was out there?
Yes. Look
No.
look right below Mount Atlas. You'll see Atlantis. It was genuinely because they thought Atlantis was over there. Where do you think the name Atlantic comes from?
That's
What
horrible.
other word could Atlantic possibly come from?
And he thought that he thought that our river from the Atlas Mountains it became the Nile.
But nobody ever say that the ancient Greeks had a flawless understanding of the world.
Hey, he understood
was
at least
right.
that he understood
course.
that the river needed to come from mountains somewhere, I guess. Oh God. Anyway. It's not my No, that's not my mountain. Well, you think your mountain should be bigger? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess you get your little woods. You can have some trees. Aw, look at you. Oh, there's actually forest in Tunis. Huh. Got some dense trees. They can actually collect wood. Wow. And cultures. Ah, my favorite culture. I can see
basically been shattered into a million subcultures.
I can see that my literally only gripe with this game being culture names continues. That along with Eastern Berber, my favorite culture. Truly. People finding out North Africa is habitable? No, that's a stretch, Fligenda. I don't know if I'd say it's habitable just because it has trees. These aren't. This isn't. I don't know. There aren't actually people here just because there's cultures. It's more of a theoretical thing. Look at Moroccan culture. What the hell? What is this? What's going on?
Don't get saddled in it. Read the descriptions. They explain things.
All right. The cultural division of the region is very, very interesting, we think. The first thing that I want to stress is that we've divided the most Arabized zones from the more traditionally Berber ones. The more Arabized cultures are the Moroccan, Algerian, Tunisian, Libyan, and the Hassaniya tribe. Hassaniya.
Apparently, it was Ottoman rule and then French rule that caused North Africa to shift away from more Berber roots toward more Arab roots.
There's the Hassaniya. the western edge of the Sahara is the Hassaniya. The Great Unified Eastern Berber People. Yeah, okay. Now that you mentioned it exactly, it's coming back to me. The the Great Eastern Berber culture of Fezzan, which I am now stuck wondering which is Fezzan's primary culture. Are they primarily Libyan or primarily Eastern Berber?
The answer is neither, probably.
Maybe they could be both. They could accept both. I imagine they do to a degree.
A strand? No, I don't think there are any Vandals left.
I don't think there's any Vandals left now.
It is brought up in the comments how there are records of Romance-speaking Christians still in North Africa at this point,
Oh,
but Paradox's response was, we know and we've discussed it, but we also can't find any good figures, so we don't know where to put them. So we'll see if they make it in or not.
no! Give me my very, very distantly descended from the Vandals Christians.
This is like 800 years later.
But Dark, you get it's like three divergent cultures.
Germanic.
Like three divergent cultures separate from the Vandals. Yeah. The Berber cultures are divided into Mazmuda and Sanhaja in Al Maghreb. The Zenati in oh gosh, I am not saying these area names. The Kabylia, I remember that name. The Chawi. Mozabite. The Eastern Berber, a name that we will probably change given the feedback already received in the Egyptian Tinto maps. Yeah, please do. Please change Eastern Berber.
No, they
Dear
should
God.
just
Make it Eastern or Berber.
just add Western Berber and it'll be fine. It'll be balanced out.
Yeah, all you have to do is replace Zenati with Western Berber, and then yeah, it just works.
But then we need Northern Berber and Southern Berber.
Northeast, southwest Berber. I just hate assigning the cardinal directions to a group of people. I so much because then if you ever play as them, like if you ever play as an Eastern Berber character, for example, and you like just imagine if okay like the equivalent to me is imagine if instead of Occitan it was South and North French instead of Francian and Occitan for example in CK3, and then you just like take over France and convert a bunch of people to your culture and then expand it, and then suddenly it's just called North French that's everywhere. So what if you play as Eastern Berber and you take over North Africa and start culturally converting it, and then the map just says East Berber? It's like the actual fuck.
That's what Vic 2 used to be. It used to be North German, South German.
It still is in Vic 2.
Yeah, not in Vic 3 at least.
Meanwhile, I'm just shadily looking at Kara Dunai in the Thani Hazad.
Okay. Exactly. The difference is that it's not in English. You see, Ostrogoth and Visigoth is not in English, so I don't need to be mentally thinking East Goth and West Goth. You know, it doesn't. I don't need that. Actually, Visigoth probably means South, doesn't it? It's probably East and South Goth, which is weird. What religions? Most of the religion's population practices Sunni Islam, with a very important zone where Ibadism is the majority.
Visigothus is West Gothic.
Oh, okay.
Ostrogothus is Eastern Gothic.
The first guess was right. Oh.
Don't let it go to your head all at once. Big enough.
Well, what would Eastern Berber be in Turkish exactly? Because I bet if they like scrunched up the words East and Berber in just some language that would be appropriate, I would think it sounds neat.
Let's just call them Easeburgers.
Writing this down.
East and Berbers together.
Yes. No Shia anywhere to be seen, though. Huh. There is actually in Tunis, though, a large minority of Catholics. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I wonder what culture that would be. Because they're not. Yeah, they're. I guess they could just be Tunisian culture.
Yeah, I suppose.
There's no reason they couldn't be. Yeah, raw materials. Sand.
I thought
Sand.
you'd get sand
Wait.
there.
Dark. See, these places that have like raw materials, they have to be ownable, because the ones that you can't own don't. So
Well, a
You
bunch of these provinces can't be owned by gamers because they've got dates.
Yeah.
oh,
But luckily, they don't have grass.
Yeah, when is the grass trade good gonna come in?
Gotta-
You have the-
Gamers can't touch grass.
So what do you do if you're um just a gamer and you live here? No, you live in this county right here with sand. So you're safe on the sand, but if you go north, you've got livestock. South, you've got you're stuck. Because either way, you have to touch grass.
Livestock
What do you
don't have
do?
to touch grass.
Assuming the livestock don't encompass like camels and shit like that.
Well,
It
what are they
probably does.
eating? What are they eating if not grass?
I'm not quite sure what camels eat, honestly.
I
in
don't
the
know what
desert.
they eat.
I think some camels can eat cactus or cacti. Let me
Oh,
check.
yes, that's right. Yes.
Livestock is just goat there. Goat, the guy from the Discord server, I bet, actually. Yeah.
Any vegetation that grows in an arid environment. So they'll eat like cacti. But if forced to by hunger, they will eat meat.
Well, yeah, any animal will. That's capable of digesting it. Koalas can't. Koalas and like pandas, but you know.
Everyone can digest it.
Not only. But yeah, fair enough then. I guess they just eat cactus, which is horrifying to imagine. Ow. Ow, ow. Palm leaves, yeah. Such a meme that even in Saudi Arabia you need to import sand because their desert sand is useless.
Yeah, don't they just destroy a bunch of coral reefs because they have to suck up sand from the bottom of the ocean?
Well,
I haven't heard of that, but I have heard of
That's
Dubai
separate.
building on them.
Yeah. Dubai is what you're thinking of, Dark, and that is not because they're collecting the sand. It's because they're piling
Because
it
they're
up
trying
to make the.
they're trying to make
Yeah.
islands.
Yeah, that's unrelated to them needing better quality sand.
And my father was a sand farmer, and my grandfather before him was a sand farmer.
Cactus is edible, Vilgend, if you prepare it, but most people would not want
know how
to eat
to.
it before it's prepared.
What do you
It
think
might be-
cactus tastes like?
I don't know, but I could probably
Like
think that the
celery?
feeling is, it's probably similar to eating porcupine.
Well, I mean, just like if it's not take away the spikes, just like cactus, the cactus flesh, quote unquote. I bet it's like celery. Like if you just enlarge a piece of celery. Ask Sokka. Well, he tried
Well,
the
he
cactus juice.
He drank cactus. He didn't
Yeah.
eat cactus.
This is why I think it's like it's probably like a harder version of celery. Yeah. You guys can just call me Chair. Chair? I'm not calling you
But
fucking
I
Chair.
I like trying.
Instead of calling you Vlegende, I'm gonna call you Stool. There, you're not Chair, you can be Stool. Because that's what the end of your name says.
Just call him dude.
No, there's
Hey,
way too many
buddy.
people for that. Pal.
I'm not your buddy, pal.
Eee! Flying Garden Chair. Why the hell is your name Flying Garden Chair, may I ask very politely?
I'm assuming it's a Virgil reference because he loves the garden chair.
But the
I
chair
hope
doesn't
so.
fly. The chair stays still.
What were we looking at?
It's with
Resources.
him.
There's a lot of dye here. The hell? You were 11 when you came up with the name. Don't mind it. So you're like, are you embarrassed of the name that you picked when you were 11 and just refused to change it at the same time?
I think he's just. It's what it is. I mean, why change yourself after who knows how many years?
That's fair.
Anyway,
wonder...
next and the final one is the trade zones.
Just very briefly, there is in fact copper in a couple places in North Africa. I actually think you've got the silver and gold down here in Morocco. I think Morocco's good. I think Morocco's got a really nice set of trade goods. They have got all sorts of things that they can produce.
It's almost like there's a reason why Morocco was a semi-reasonable powerhouse for much of history in
Sugar?
North Africa.
They just have sugar, like, because same. It's got that Mediterranean climate, yeah.
Also,
Sugar
Morocco
here,
was the first country to acknowledge the American Declaration of Independence and establish diplomatic relations.
That is very interesting. All right, Morocco is my first playthrough. Day one.
Add it to the list.
Say day one. See you guys. See you guys. I'll be playing Morocco. And we will be pumping up that fruit production, that fruit juice. I'm gonna be giving people all the cactus juice for days.
It's the quenchiest.
El Concha. Morocco should be good. They managed to repel the Ottomans about a dozen times. I had no idea they ever actually fought. Well, actually, yeah. Time to wear fez. Yes.
Yeah, I think America recognized America's independence first.
Is it? Is it like a bad thing?
First to recognize it and actually make a treaty with the U.S. It might be that instead. It's been a while since I read up on it.
Exactly. Is it a bad thing for someone to wear a fez? If you're not? Like, what if I just had a fez and I wore it on stream?
I don't think the Turks would really care nowadays. Particularly since Ataturk tried to, and I think he did actually ban the fez for a while.
I am not familiar with what this What is this?
I don't know anything about like what is okay. Is it like
what is the controversy around a fez?
I'm just asking.
It was just part of it. Well, I'll just say what I know about it. And it was Ataturk ended up banning the fez for the same reason Peter the Great banned, heavy, ye old Siberian fur in the Russian court.
To appear Western.
Because it was part of the push to Westernize.
All right.
I need to figure out what I can and can't wear to complete the Jafar cosplay.
Yeah, your fez.
My alternate persona. I need to just like have a I need a different headset that doesn't need to cover my head so that I can have a fez on.
Earbuds. And a standing mic.
One of these days I'll try one of those fancy modern
I have a fucking standing mic.
Maybe it'll be less painful than.
And yeah, you just need earbuds.
Also, Joffrey, I'm pretty sure we have the exact same model of Blue Yeti, down to the same.
This is not a Blue Yeti.
Oh, is it not? It looked super similar to mine. Okay.
I don't. A friend of mine got one and it broke real quick, so I didn't want to get one because
Oh.
I thought
I
was
sucks.
under the. Yeah.
Mine's lasted me 8 years so far, and it shows no signs of stopping.
I had a different, smaller white one for a while, but now I gave that one to my brother when this one went on sale. The Maghreb is very rich in different materials, especially Morocco, which was used a long time ago as a RGO gameplay testing ground by the QA testers. Huh! Even more reason to like okay. Out of all of the jokes and like first country I want to play, Morocco is actually really high on my list of like people I genuinely would want to try out the game as because they're just close enough to Europe. Like I love their position strategically because they're in the perfect spot to be involved in everything that made Europe powerful. If they just like they're just missing an ingredient. I don't know what it is. They just I guess it was because of how ascendant Spain was.
Well, it was a mix of ascendant Spain and the fact that Morocco didn't get involved in the exploration colonial game and essentially got bypassed by all that massive influx of resources and stuff from those global connections. And once Europe dominated them, it was very difficult for the Moroccans to break in.
I
they
think
even tried. I can't remember.
Depending on how colonization works, if we need to see more information about that, but yeah, I bet if it works the way I think it does, you're probably going to be able to, as Morocco early on, start to slowly colonize your way down the coast because we've seen that the area we've seen the map of vaguely this coast that you can like there are actually tiles all along the coast of West Africa, so you could just colonize all along your way down through the corridors and stuff, I imagine.
So I just realized Mansa Musa has just died. So Mali is at the apex of its power and territorial extent. So if you want, Mali, I think, could also be a fun colonizer game.
Yeah.
Because unlike an EU4 where you have to rebuild Mali, here you're essentially starting at it right before its decline really starts.
You probably then, as Mali, are going to have the ability to try and prevent the collapse. Because it's like imminent, I bet. But we'll have to see the actual political map mode of the region. Maybe I'll decide to play Morocco and make my way south to pick apart a fractured Mali, or maybe I'll play the Mali and make a second pilgrimage to Mecca.
Yeah,
who knows?
From my memory, Mansa Musa dies in 1337. I don't know if they're going to start with him as dead or if he just dies, 2 months in and his son succeeds the throne. His son only reigned for like 4 years. Then Mansa Musa's brother inherited the throne because the son didn't have any kids. And that one, I think he's like some Malian variant on Suleiman. In terms of his name. He's like kind of the last great Mansa, and then after him, the state degraded. So.
Well, then, it sounds like you will actually have time before things get too bad.
Before everything's get too bad, yeah.
You'll have at least you'll have a decade or so before things start to get bad. Right, markets. The market centers of the region are placed in Fars and Al Jazeera, which makes for good market access and distribution for the start of the game. In general terms, you might notice that trading happens across the corridors, which makes for a real connection between the markets to the north and south of the Sahara in 1337. This means that we can effectively simulate the trading of Saharan and sub-Saharan goods, salt, alum, gold, ivory, to the north until maybe some European countries decide to explore down the African coast and make direct trading in the Gulf of Guinea, avoiding the Maghrebi. No, I will not let this happen.
Honestly, I'm so happy about the location of the name for Fast.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful.
This needs to be changed, man. This needs to be changed. They gotta fill in the wastelands.
No,
this is horrible.
It's perfect how it is.
Why is Al Jazeera the trade? I would have thought it would be Tunis. Oh. didn't notice a notification, then I guess burn. I guess you're not wanted.
Don't worry, Evie. We still have a whole nother Tinto talk after this.
Yeah. This is the prep, the pre-game.
Everyone, and we're almost 4 minutes in. Wrap the damn thing up.
Fine.
Chop, Joffrey boy.
But it was funny to talk about sand. You had fun talking about sand, Vector. I know you did. All right.
The sand talk wasn't even that long of it.
I'll close those. All right. Now we talk about boats.
Boat.
I like boat. Today we delve into a lot of naval aspects when we talk about everything from maritime presence to naval combat. Importance of maritime presence. First of all, we need to get back to the importance of maritime presence and naval capacity in Project Caesar. Before you can get advanced road networks through your country, your proximity propagation is much faster through places where you have a maritime presence. Any sea zones where you have no maritime presence, or a location without any road network, costs about 40 proximity to traverse through, which basically means you cannot propagate any control more than 3 locations away. Of course, there are things that impact your proximity costs per location, like topography and vegetation, development and societal values as well. Oh, God.
Yup, boat matter.
Oh, Dark only convinced me to keep it as one stream for this one in particular, because I saw it and thought it was going to be like 5 minutes long. I didn't think it was going to take half an hour. If I knew it was going to take that long, I would have made it 2 streams.
Oh, so what you're saying is I just need to convince you that the next ones are short.
Good night, Mr. Lawn Chair Guy. Whatever time it is in Dutchland. Yes. Good night, chair. Stool.
Good night, moon. Good night, stool.
No. Good night, cow that jumps over the moon. Good night, house. Good night, mouse. Proximity map. So quite literally, no access here. Is that it?
No maritime access because it's inland.
So it's control.
The red is just none.
So no meaningful control. So it's all left to local authorities to govern, essentially.
Well, that's what that's what I thought it was gonna be, but it's not, because apparently when you don't have any control in a place, the estates don't get any bonuses from it either.
It's useless land.
Yeah, it just becomes useless. The money just gets wasted. It's not even a case of it being like used up by the estates. It's like the way they extrapolate it is that
it doesn't go into the national estates. Yeah, I
yeah,
thought it did invested on a local level, but maybe not.
It does not get reinvested in any way.
In the sense of you don't have to supply things then, because it's essentially supplying itself.
It does not. It does not do Mayo and taxes exactly. No, because it does not contribute to your estates. In Mayo and taxes, if you don't have control in a place, it goes to the estates entirely. In this, it does not go to them at all if you have no control. Because the way they extrapolate it is that the estates that you engage with in the gameplay are the, as Vector put it, the national estates. And if you have no control in this area, then none of the nobles there are like related to your just national like state. They're not related to your state really at all. They just you just don't talk to them.
They don't extract resources that funnel back to you.
Yeah. heartland has some access, but the coasts are the most important to us. For coastal sea zones, if you have 100% maritime presence, the base cost is 5 per location. If you have less than 100% maritime presence, it will scale the price accordingly. So at 33% maritime presence, and you have no other modifiers, it would cost 3.5. Huh? What is that math? Times? Are they trying to
What?
Are they trying to say 0.33 times 5?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Thanks for coherency. The star. Yeah.
That's pretty standard multiplication symbol.
What?
Yeah,
A
it's a
star?
multiplication symbol. Well, you can't put the. It looks weird if you put the X.
Why does it
So,
look
yeah,
weird if you
in
put an
text
X in
form-
the middle?
In tech, because X is like a letter, whereas the plus and minus signs aren't.
It's just a convention that was developed in order to, keep the
But-
multiplication symbol more distinct.
Yeah,
Because
and
X can also be an unknown.
I suppose that's true. I've never seen
could
that
also-
before. Huh.
also it can be used in situations like solve for X. Imagine you have X times 23.
Well, just don't use X then. Solve
The
for
X
Y.
It's the most commonly used variable.
Also, X, if it's involving a graph, you gotta use X.
Yeah, X and Y axes. But anyway, yeah. As a result, this is a common thing used in math, is to use the star for multiplication. Anyway, let's not get bogged down in it. Let's move on. The game maths.
33% maritime presence, and you have no other modifiers, it would be 0.33 times 5. The base cost is 5 per location. So 26. So at 100%, yeah, that is vastly more expensive the less control you have. That is incredible. How much do they say per land? You have 40. No road networks is 40 proximity. Huh. Yeah, building roads is going to be very important then. We'll have to see. But they're not talking about that so much right now. They're talking about the boats specifically. Proximity to capital for Kalmar. Whew, okay. So from Kalmar to Kalmarsund. So this is showing, okay, yep, step by step the location, the closest way that it can get back to Stockholm. But this is not on the coast. Or is Kalmarsund the coast? They're not saying, but... Oh, that is probably the coast because of the amount that it costs. I imagine that this is probably... Yeah, this is probably them going on to the coast. Can't wait to build roads for half their games so your empire actually functions. No, it's going to be a lot more than that. It's going to be a lot more than just half your game. It's going to be the whole game. You're building and upgrading roads and bailiffs and shit. So getting good control over your country is going to be like one of the main objectives of the game. Why is the sea zone outside Stockholm called? Okay, so that is what they're talking about. Okay, thank you for basically accidentally explaining to me my question. Okay, and here they are talking about it. Okay, as you can see, the tracing the proximity out of Kalmar to the sea zone of Kalmarsund is a bit costly. as going from land to sea through a port has a higher base cost. This is severely reduced by the infrastructure and development you have built up in that location, as well as the natural harbor attributes that location has. Okay, so you can have a place with a natural harbor, and then you can develop that even more so. So if you build up a place to be a natural harbor, if you build up a place to be a natural harbor, and then extend roads from there, basically you'll be able to more effectively govern larger areas if you take advantage of it effectively. Natural harbors. This is something new for this game that we've not done before. Yeah? Natural harbors? You've never done this before? Oh, based on this map, yeah, that's a little different. That's a little different, okay. Not done before. With so many locations and such granularity, the mechanics emphasizing a deeper simulation, we had to start treating places differently, as there is a reason why certain places on the map are better suited as ports than others. This explains why certain locations grew to be important places in history over others. The brighter the green, the better the harbor can be. Ho ho ho. I see. Oh, Galicia's got some really, really good harbor potentials. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. We can improve the harbor suitability of a location by building certain infrastructure. So even if the location you want to build up lacks the natural benefits, it can still be built up, even if it's more costly to do so as well. The harbor suitability of a location has a significant impact on the trade and proximity calculations, and also impacts how quickly armies can be loaded or unloaded from the location. Harbor suitability of Bristol. 35% due to natural harbor suitability. Where the hell is Bristol? There it is, Bristol. Alright, so Bristol is that darker green. That's one of the darker ones. Harbor suitability of 35%. I wonder if any of these are at 100% at game start, like these really bright things.
Some of them are probably really good. Like, I imagine Constantinople's probably fantastic.
I mean, I wonder if like the bright green means that they're 100% from just natural.
Yeah, he mentions in one of the comments that there are 63 100 good quality 100 maximum quality natural harbors in the world.
Wow. There are, in fact, places that will just start at max, assuming 100% is the max. I assume it would be, but
I would assume so.
Yeah.
we shall see.
Can't get better than perfect.
It is just a little odd to. If I would have said that they. I mean, you should probably not be able to have anything that's naturally better than 70%, but
Some are great because you know how harbors work, right, Joffrey?
yeah, I just
It's all
don't.
meant. It's meant like the land shaped so that the harsh waves.
I
From the
said
ocean
yes.
Well, yeah, but you have viewers that might not.
Okay. Well, they don't matter.
I'm educating.
The Dutch guy left. That's so no one else matters, obviously.
Well, the Dutch guy is the one most likely to know.
Yeah. No. No. He would need to have it explained to him. But I guess I'm getting caught up in, I suppose, a difference between a harbor suitability and just the infrastructure of the location in general. Because I'm sure that there are other I'm sure that building a wharf, for example, does things other than increase the harbor suitability. So I think
yeah. Scroll down and you'll get to hear a bit more.
Well, exactly. Where in Germany do you bloody live? If you live inland, then yeah, it's not relevant to you at all, is it? Quickly, armies can be loaded or unloaded from the location. Yeah, I imagine that the wharf probably has a bonus. Maybe that has a bonus to. I just kind of hope that you Like the thought for me is like, okay, if you've got a 100% suitability harbor, if you have
Natural
a
harbor
like
suitability can be up to 100%.
yeah, but then like
And if we look, so the natural harbor suitability of 25% has the following impact, and then it lists a bunch of effects. So I think that there will be a bit of a difference between natural suitability and what you can build up. I don't
yes,
know if
but
that caps off at 100 or
hmm,
not in cumulative, but 100%, aka one harbor, natural harbor suitability
yeah,
is the cap.
for natural
So
stuff at least, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Hmm.
read on. No dooming until read it all.
If you want to build up the lack, right. Even if the location you want to build up lacks the natural benefits, it can still be built up, even if it's more costly to do so. Yeah. Significant impact on the trading calculations. Yeah, because as we're saying, dry dock costs, grand shipyard cost. Different kinds of buildings cost more or less based on the natural harbor suit. Oh, that's that's what it's significant for. Okay. So the more naturally suitable it is, I can see like as you were saying, Vector, there is all right, there are a lot of buildings you're going to want to make in a harbor, and you can turn ones that aren't naturally very suitable into suitable ones. It's just going to be real expensive and require a lot of
Mm-hmm.
buildings. And there's a lot of buildings that are unrelated to harbor suitability you'll want to build that will be more expensive as well. Because I can imagine if you're trying to build a effective harbor into the side of a sheer rock cliff, that is going to be an exorbitant cost, but theoretically possible.
Yeah,
It's
White
just that
Cliffs
people
of
don't really
Dover
do
are
that.
nice to look at, but not nice to build docks on.
Yeah, I can't imagine that being very effective.
You
It's
see that,
it's
but
like
Devon looks like it's freaking super high quality on that map.
uh, yeah, in like Cornwall is that? Yeah. Oh no,
No,
Devon's
Devon.
here. Devon's one of
Yeah.
these, I think. Hmm. London's fine. Yeah.
All right, I might
It,
have my wrong
Yeah,
place. No,
Dover
Devon.
is over in Kent, I believe.
oh, it says
Yeah,
Dover right there. Well, Dover's actually good.
Yeah.
I mean, by good, it's
Huh?
actually Dover's right there. I can see the name. Um,
yeah, and London's pretty decent. Geez,
Dover
what's
for
that
some
thing?
reason.
The freaking middle southern part. That's the thing I was thinking
Portsmouth.
about. Portsmouth. Yeah, Devon. Devon is in Cornwall. Although I think we
So
can see it there too.
I was right the first time. All right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, this Ireland. This is perfect, but also hilarious because Dublin is ass to make as your hub of control in the region. That's hilarious to me. I would. Well, okay, maybe it's not terrible to have it as your hub of control, but the places that become your important harbors are here. Surely you'd want your capital to be in like Kildare, and then you build like you build roads inland, sure, but you control the north side of the island by building up the harbor up here.
It's also interesting because this kind of shows us how cities can defy the natural things because Manchester does not look like it has any sort of natural port whatsoever nearby. Yet it becomes one of England's most important cities in the industrial era. So
It's a I think that this is yet again more of this non-warfare, just gameplay things to keep you engaged and constantly asking the questions of what is something like, oh, this is something I want to improve. How do I improve it? And what are the things I have to sacrifice to make that happen? There, like if you want to access a lot of the resources in different parts of England more effectively, or Scotland, or just any place like you're talking about this area in here, just York and all that kind of area. there just ain't that many great places for harbors here. The best one is south of York, in fact. Um, a lot of these places up here just aren't that great naturally for that. So you would need to think, all right, I really want to get better access to these resources. So how much am I willing to sacrifice in regards to building stuff up for that? Which is interesting because there are some absolutely horrendous locations here when it comes to building harbors. Because I imagine that the black locations are just unusable, like of natural. They just probably have 0% natural harbor, like cliffs or super just like probably we're probably talking like either a cliff or just sheer flat coastline or marsh. Other bullshit like you see in a lot of the low countries here where it's just terrible, except for it isn't. But anyway, this is looking really cool. Can you get your lake battleships? I don't know. The Switzerland lake battleships? Yeah, very likely story. Oh, there's actually, I didn't notice that in Theodoro, there's actually a really, really good harbor too. It's not the place I'd want to project control over Crimea from, but I guess it's the only option you've got. I'd much prefer to have one on the...
I mean, that is literally future Sevastopol.
Yeah, it's true. I suppose there's a reason for that.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a reason why there's been multiple successive cities built in that exact same spot.
As opposed to the corridor. Yeah. Odessa. Yeah. It's also a decent place for harbor. Yeah. Interesting. Hold on. I was about to just completely move on without even looking at the fact that Italy is not good.
Sicily's got a few good ones.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sicily and Sardinia. The islands
And
are actually
Venice.
Venice is good. There's a Dubrovnik, Ragusa. Yeah,
And there's a few.
It's
And
good.
then, the rest is kind of meh to decent.
Like Naples is fine. Yeah, and then over by Rome, there just ain't much good access by Rome. Interestingly. But like Sardinia looks like you could control or exert control from Sardinia or Sicily pretty easily, which is handy. What a waste of a good natural harbor. This just island county here.
Minorca, the one that
Yeah.
England just so happened to own for a while.
Hmm. Hmm.
What's the joke? The Germans own it in the modern day because so many of them go vacationing on it.
Hope this doesn't cause the same problem to occur in Mayo and Tactus, where Spain is stupid to have Madrid as their capital, making Sevilla the capital is an obvious choice.
Yeah.
I
It seems like inland capitals are just worse than coastal capitals.
I genuinely think that the play as Spain would be to make Sevilla your capital. Like the more evidence I see, the more I think is like make Sevilla or something up in Galicia your capital even. Uh, if
I mean, so one of the things, so Madrid is good because it's geographically central to the whole thing, so you can have your control spread out over the whole peninsula essentially. Because otherwise, yeah, if you put it in Sevilla, that might be good for getting coastal access, but that means you've got a bunch in northern and central Spain that you basically have abandoned as worthless. I don't know. I see with good infrastructure the argument being made for Madrid.
if you've got half decent roads, then I could see it being acceptable situation.
Because the thing is, if Madrid can get roads to the coastlines, then it should be fine.
Yeah,
And if
they
you wanna
don't.
know who really has it made, look at the Byzantines. It's just Greece is almost all coastal. They got the coast of
Yeah.
Asia Minor too. They're on it
Also,
so easy.
I'm so happy to see Athens and Piraeus be green as green.
You could very easily, yeah. As the Byzantines, you're saying
You can
Greece has it made.
You can get
Constantinople's
such
your
high
capital.
control. You can
You-
get such obscene control.
You make Constantinople your capital instant.
Athens.
I would even argue potentially for Thessaloniki because it's in the middle as well.
Yeah,
But
that
the
would
point
give you some overland control spread as well.
if you wanted to go deeper into the Balkans, which I mean, more
Why
power
would
to
anybody
you.
want to go into the Balkans?
Yeah, if you want to do that, I'm instantly no. The more I think about it, no. Byzantium's the capital. You build up a half decent port in yeah
Yeah, and then you also still got the Pontic
Athens.
coast and all that. It's easy.
Yeah, that's very good. And then you just set up Slavs as vassals to run the places farther inland.
No, we must establish Roman plantations. Roman culture shall spread again.
The problem with Spain is just in a really awkward position. At least France has tons of vassals to manage their land more effectively. Maybe technically, but with Spain, they don't even talking about coastal access. They don't actually have all that much coast relatively. Like they have plenty of coast in the north, but a lot of like the lands in the south, they don't. So I guess Sevilla isn't actually a useful capital for a long time because like what good
Well,
does that do you?
remember,
Yeah.
even after they marry and unite the crowns of Castile and Aragon, they are technically still two separate crowns with separate capitals and separate courts and separate government apparati for
If
years.
if that yeah, they'll you're right too. Yeah. I I think I'm starting to see why it makes sense for them to have their location inland for a long time because even if that because I assume they're still going to have events where that you can potentially have that show up as a personal union. It's going to be a personal
Mm-hmm.
union, and personal unions function very differently in this game. And so, yeah. Anyway, Spain need in central inland city like Toledo or Madrid. Yes, I do believe you're right. Cordoba based Spain. I don't remember how good the different like terrain is, and we're not here to discuss that right now. But I'm sure that you could make very interesting choices, depending on where you'd like your capital to be. Um, yes, moving on past Bristol.
Build boat.
Shipbuilding. One of the disadvantages of playing a naval nation in other games we've made was the simple fact that unless you had a large coastline, you could not compete, no matter how good the coastal locations you had were. One of the reasons was the simple fact that you could only build one ship at a time, and if you wanted to recruit a regiment, you couldn't. In Project Caesar, this has changed. First of all, there are three main construction queues in a location. First, there is the civil one, for buildings, RGOs, and other non-military oriented things you can do in a location. Secondly, we have the army-based queue. And finally, we have the naval-based queue. So you can recruit regiments at the same time that you build ships in a location. That makes playing tall a lot better, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We also added the concept of parallel shipbuilding in a location, where buildings can unlock additional shipbuilding slots in a location, where at the end of the game, you can build close to 20 ships at the same time in the same shipyard, with all the related advances and other stuff unlocked. I could definitely imagine...
Time to pull a World War II America and just have no standing navy, but then somebody bombs your boats. And you just produce the world's largest navy in 5 years.
I was just about to make a joke about the Venetian arsenal actually, and then it shows up here. I was about to be like, oh, I can totally see like I can totally imagine a special building, for example, in some important locations like Venice, where someone would just innately have more shipbuilding capacity. And what do you know? Here you go, Venetian arsenal. And interestingly enough, it not only has shipbuilding capacity and like increases the sailors you get, can build ships here. So you are actually going to need to have the proper infrastructure to create ships, period, in locations. You can't just have a rinky-dink coastline with terrible access and just not just not build any and just build things there anyway. Yeah. France shall be Andorish. Yes, Andorish. This is the correct answer. Everyone must convert to Andorish. I have a little meme.
Some really cool stuff coming up.
I have a meme Andorra-like country in my own fantasy setting. I'll have to give them that unique culture so you can do something like that. Blockades. Oh boy, interesting stuff indeed. Oh, the requirements for construction is also always interesting. Getting a better window into how this stuff works is always interesting. This is a unique building that Venice has in its capital. Yeah. One of the most powerful abilities that you can do in a war is blockading another nation's coast. The immediate impact is a reduction of food production, maximum control, and making trades being more costly and likely to reroute. There is also the fact that development growth is severely slowed, the decline of prosperity, and a dramatic reduction of your maritime presence. Yeah, just really, really, really bad. As some say, an image tells you more than 1,000 words. We'll use a few screenshots of tooltips related to blockades to make it a bit more clear. Blockaded by enemies. Monthly prosperity down 2%. Max control down 10. Maritime presence down 2. Food multiplier down 50. Well, I mean...
No more fishing.
Yeah, you ain't fishing. So, monthly development growth down 20. And trade... embark and embark costs 200%. Wow. Alright, there's yeah. Not much. Yeah, I mean, unsurprisingly, you ain't getting much trade through blockade. Yeah. No, glitched Eevee, don't remind me of Anglo-Irish. No. Even with only a single port fully blockaded, the maritime presence in the sea zone is severely impacted, and will take many months to recover. Unless you got coastal forts or navies patrolling it for a long time after a war. Fuck. Oh, this is dreadful. Monthly change for the county of Holland, minus 0.3 due to that place is being blockaded, I guess. Yes, minus 0.3 due to Gertrudenberg. Yes. The adjective for Holland. The Hollandish. Hollandish. So is EU5 going to be as complicated as EU4? It sounds like a lot more so. It sounds like it's going to be a lot more complicated. However, the way that I would describe what is being shown, Jordan James, is that things are a lot more complicated, but there's a lot more things that you can choose to ignore. There are a lot of things that the game will kind of just sort out for you if you don't want to have to worry about that. So I think it's actually going to be relatively approachable compared to EU4, where you need to be doing everything yourself. And if you're not, like, stressing about every detail, you're going to be fucking things up. But in this, I think a lot of stuff seems to be like you have the option to automate it, or it already is automated to a degree. So that's it's neat. I like having the ability to just tell the game, you worry about this stuff, I will come back and do it myself if I feel the need. The biggest problem with EU4 is the UI for you. What's the issue you have with it specifically? Is it too cluttered? Is there, like, too many things you need to click on? Are there too many things you need to do and not enough ways to get to them quick? Is that what you mean? A more realistic game with an easier to grasp with the help of just some common sense. That's yeah, more complex but a more realistic game. Yeah, it is yeah. Too cluttered. Yeah. There's a lot of clutter in it. I suppose. Hmm. One thing you might find interesting, Jordan, then, if you haven't been following along with all of the Tinto talks or watching these streams, then is that they have combined national ideas, idea groups, and technologies all into the same system. So, which is probably something that's probably for the best. Gimalt, there is a large disparity in the Paradox community between people who really like the new UI that Paradox makes in its games, and people who really like EU4 and CK2. So it's not something that people can make definitive statement of. Yeah, this is just the best one. Yeah. Not all ships are great at blockading, as you most likely want to have heavy ships and or light ships to do the blockading. Yeah. What? What? Transport ships? And wait, galleys aren't that great. Huh? Oh, wait, traditional galleys are listed here. I guess galleys are fine too. I think the hulks, I guess, are transports, and they're just terrible at it, so that's fair. This type of Hulk doesn't smash. Very clever. Very clever. Not all locations are equal, and different populations, infrastructure, and development increases how much ships are required to blockade location. Coastal location of Gertrudenberg. Yes. Coastal cap development growth. Being coastal is just so good. Oh my god. Blockade capacity of 1.02. The population makes it harder, the port makes it harder, and the development makes it harder. Okay. Okay, so population's the biggest factor then in just having an absolutely stupid number of people. I can definitely imagine makes it more difficult to blockade a location. Because just the larger the city is, the more sprawling the city is, the more difficult it would be to cover all of the ways that trading can happen. There are about 32,000 people living in this nice rural settlement. This nice rural settlement of Gertrudenberg. You feel like EU4 is so complicated because of all the DLC they add more stuff, and trying to make sense of it all is mind-melting. Yes, the Paradox has, thankfully, in my eyes at least, thanks to what we've been seeing in CK3, and to a lesser extent Vic, we haven't seen as much opportunities for them to do it, but for the most part, what I've been seeing in their new DLC, as opposed to how EU4 developed, is that they are no longer just saying, what is something new we can just throw into the game to make money because people will pay for it. It seems like they are moving towards a system of what is a way that we can expand on systems. It's because CK3's DLC has had lots of the free aspects of the DLC build along expanding the foundation of the game, and then the paid parts of DLCs build up upon the free foundation, instead of where in the older games, EU4 and CK2 just throw a ton of new systems at you that don't fit together, which Johan, you'll be happy to know then, Jordan, Johan, who is he was in charge of EU4. I think he was in charge of EU4 most of the way through, and he is in charge of EU5's development. Is very keen on avoiding things such as having both army professionalism and army tradition as separate systems that realistically should do the same thing. No, Gamal, EU4 is not the most simple one. The only Paradox game that's more like the only two Paradox games that are more complicated than EU4 are like new ones, or like Stellaris and Hearts of Iron. I like there are so many different windows and like the mechanics and modifiers in EU4 that it is overwhelming as hell. So, yeah, once you understand it, it sounds simple. But the thing is, Gamal, I teach people how to play EU4 all the time, and I try to introduce them to it. I try to introduce to people to a lot of games and like, explain how they work. EU4 is like the hardest one ever for me to try and explain to people. And they always end up complaining to me about there being too many like mechanics to keep track of. So, all right. Ship repairing. Every month that a fleet is in a sea zone that is not adjacent to a friendly port, they will start taking attrition. This attrition is increased dramatically if the fleet is outside the naval range. This attrition creates a chance for ships to be damaged. And while usually you can only repair a ship in a port, there are advances in some ages that allow you to repair ships in coastal sea zones. We're at the Age of Revolutions, you can repair a ship up to 50% efficiency without going back to a port. Interesting. Naval range is calculated from every core port you own or is owned by one of your subjects. Okay, good, the subjects. It's important to know. Or owned by someone you've negotiated fleet basing rights with. Okay. Huh. I like that. So, They what does naval range do? Does naval range mean that you like is this the range you can move ships in?
Before you start taking lots of attrition.
Lots of attrition.
It's basically, you know, your exploration range from
Yeah.
EU4.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, consolidate just make a consolidated system for calculating how far your ships can go safely. That makes sense. But you Oh, that's right. I brained out at this. This attrition is increased dramatically if outside the naval range. Okay. I get that then, because they start just taking damage as long as they're not next to a friendly port. But when they're outside of your naval range, they just freaking die.
Yeah, essentially the attrition is fairly negligible if you're still within your, if your Venice and your fleets are in the green zone, the attrition is negligible. If it's getting into the yellow, it gets to be pretty steep a month. And if you're in red, you're basically hemorrhaging your fleet every month. And if you're in the black, it's gone.
Yeah, I bet. You hear that? Oh, see, everyone, you should listen to a Strand or a Strand. He says following all the developer diaries is a nice way to know how to play the game before it releases. See, that means that you should subscribe, hit the bell, like, comment, and make sure to catch all of these streams. So you will know how to play EU5 when it comes out day one like a pro. Follow my 5 easy steps. It's nice that you can expand it with having negotiated fleet basing rights, and also I can imagine. So Genoa probably has. I want to see what Genoa's trade like a ship range looks like. because Genoa has even more random bases around the Mediterranean than Venice does. Most of Venice's are consolidated just in like a line here, from Venice down to Crete. But Genoa has little pockets everywhere, including all over the Black Sea. So I want to see, like, is it just green everywhere in the Black Sea for them, for example? And then how, like, I bet Genoa is going to be pretty darn good then. We'll see. I've talked about Genoa. Um, Genoa would not. All jokes aside, Genoa would not be a first playthrough for me. But there's someone I'd be very keen on trying out when I want to do a trade focused game, because that sounds very fun to me. Transporting troops. Ships in Project Caesar all have the capacity to transport regiments. The transport capacity of a ship is not measured in regiments, but in the amount of men they can carry. Usually the transport ships are far better at carrying regiments, but other types of ships can carry some as well. Okay, nice, nice. We also have some automated transport. We also have automated transport similar to EU4 to make moving armies around the world less painful. Not hiccups now. I haven't eaten anything today. What the heck?
Yes, Jordan, this system would make it advantageous to colonize such islands as essentially stopping, resupply ports for
Yes.
your navy to actually be able to project power in the long range. I mean, Britain cannot conquer India if it does not have ports to supply its fleets on the way.
That's historically what the Cape was established for to begin with, I think.
Yeah, it was. It was meant to be a stopping point for the Indian Ocean trade by the Dutch.
So, so many of these just trading ports established by the Dutch, the British yoink. You always forget about them.
Well, because the British stepped in and took it over after the Dutch got conquered in the Napoleonic Wars, and then they only gave back some of the colonies, not all of them. They gave back Indonesia, but they didn't give back Cape.
And that's why, Jordan, I was speaking about Genoa probably having really good control all over the Mediterranean, with it only getting yellow out at the edge here, I bet. Because Genoa, well, because this is Venice's. No, Genoa probably has green over quite literally the entire Mediterranean. Yeah, because they have cores like everywhere. They have little bits of land all over this place. So that's why I'm saying that yeah, if you're playing as Genoa, you've got those little outposts everywhere. I guess the next step as Genoa is just to, well, I've got these little posts all over the place. Now you just got to expand it westwards, eh? Got to grab a. Oh, that's my day one. That's my, like, right away. My first thing is Genoa is like, because Tlemcen is in trouble. Grab a port from Tlemcen, and then you grab a port from Tlemcen, or like grab the Canaries or something, and then you have your exit into the Atlantic, and then you keep going, grabbing more ports all over.
I'm going to make a spaghetti western by colonizing the New World.
Yes, a spaghetti western indeed. Yeah, naval range is calculated from every core port that you own or is owned by one of your subjects. Must enforce peace on Morocco. Give me fleet basing rights, or else. Yeah, the new realism is crazy. Yeah, England would be a useless naval ally for Genoa in the 14th century. Yeah. Now, here's the catch. Here's the catch, Strand. If England, so you're playing as England, you've got Aquitaine, and Aquitaine is your subject. So you have naval range going from there, which would take you around. That would take you, like, decently around to, like, Portugal. So if you're friendly with Portugal,
yeah, the historic Anglo-Portuguese alliance comes into play here.
So this is where
So
it's
they
like,
probably have fleet basing rights in Portugal.
I bet England could definitely, very easily, if they don't start, the game with it, get fleet basing rights from Portugal. So then they've got it from Aquitaine to Portugal, and then from Portugal, if you're friends with Genoa, because you need to help Genoa with fighting the Byzantines or something, I don't know, then they would be giving you access because you're helping them in the war, and then suddenly as England you have green all over. On conditions. That's the thing though. Because Genoa would have green over the entire sea here, just innately because they own the land. But England would if they get a treaty with Portugal and they're helping Genoa in a war here. Then they would have it too. So
like James's recommendation of sniping Gibraltar.
Borrowing Gibraltar. Huh. Damn, are you implying that the British would the British would want to grab a port at the entrance to the Mediterranean so that their naval access over the region wouldn't be dependent on treaties with other nations? Huh. I don't think so.
How the Suez Canal is going to affect this kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Because like England, you gotta take Gibraltar, then you take Malta, then you take Crete, and then you make the Suez Canal, and then you and then you gotta set up a port in Yemen.
Well, you can clearly see the logic behind why the British Empire took the places it did simply from this system.
Yeah, and this is fantastic because like I absolutely adore how this makes playing a country like gosh, Dark, like Cairo's meme like island only country he's wanting to play like that could actually be very good like as Sardinia, and that like in this with the resources and the port access and such you've got, if you make just like an island only country from there and expand out just grabbing island ports.
Decision to form the kingdom of Balio Tyrea.
Yeah, Gib. Alright. Now, to move along. Combat! In naval combat, there is no separate bombardment phase, as most ships have guns. And they tend to want to use them constantly. Otherwise, it works similar to land combat, in that you have different sections. Is this making like a jab at the fact that EU4 has shock and like fire phases?
It is Johan's poking fun at himself.
Yeah, he does that a lot though. He pokes fun at his old self. I was just talking about with the whole army tradition and army professionalism. So it's something that gives me a lot of faith in his future work. That he makes jokes about things he's done like that in the past. You'll have different sections, but the individual ships you have will fire upon each other. But when it comes to the actual combat algorithm, ships work a bit differently, as there are no combat power or amount of soldiers fighting to consider, but instead, ships have an amount of cannons and hull size. Cannons are an offensive value and hull size the defensive. Types of ships. There are 4 different categories of ships. Heavy, light, galley, and transport. What a surprise. In each category, there are at least 1 ship in each age that can be researched. But there are also many unique ships that can be built. There is no real restriction on what roles different ships can perform, but a transport is not best at blockading, and a light ship may not be ideal for transporting a lot of soldiers. Each type of ship differs on how many trained sailors they need to crew them, or how many cannons they can have, and more. You can also raise ships as levies from your population, but those are usually best suited for transporting armies short distances, and not best to be relied upon for sea battle. A Catalan galley, so that's a unique type of galley, I suppose, like you were talking about. The Iberians have unique ships. Early Iberian caravel, Catalan galley. Oh boy! They have...
So the Aragonese have their unique galley, and then the Iberians have a general unique early caravel.
Whoo! Aragon popping off. Yeah. Unique galley for Aragon has 2 extra guns, 1 more hull size, but needs 30 more sailors. And there's also an early Iberian caravel, which all Iberian countries may build. So it tells you here what the unique things that they do. Well, they're not telling us what the Iberian caravel does. I guess maybe they haven't finalized it.
Either they haven't finalized it, or it's just that the Iberians can build this type of ship in this category early, like a tech generation early, essentially.
Maybe it might be yeah. You know what? I bet that's the case because I bet a caravel is in fact an advanced ship for the age compared to what most people would have. You ain't gonna be seeing caravels in a Novgorod, I'd imagine.
Because caravels weren't really broadly adopted until I want to say like the 15th century.
Jordan, you saying he learned from Imperator. Fun fact about that, Johann is the man who built like 70% of that game himself on his own time, basically. He basically convinced people at Paradox to let him build that game as his own passion project. He barely had help. So, to say he learned from Imperator is putting it mildly. There is a lot of the good elements of Imperator that he saw worked in Imperator, and he heard from the feedback and what people liked about it. He's seen a lot of those things that worked, and he's expanded upon those elements and tried to bring them over to EU5. I'm very much liking that. Work in progress UI, but yes, that's right. Stay tuned, as next week we will talk about colonization. Oh, yes. Oh. Oh my god. Give it to me now. I need it. I need it.
You have a week.
No, I want it now.
No, you don't
Don't care how. I want it now. I don't remember the rest of the song. I don't know. I need to watch Willy Wonka again. Veruca Salt, I think, is her name. Yeah. All right. Wow. All right. Look at some dev responses. Macro. Wow. Never liked the flag. He never liked the flagship stuff. Yes, thumbs up. Agree. Fuck the flagship system. Get it out of here. It's stupid.
I had no idea that people were so strongly opinionated about it.
Oh, people really like them. Apparently, this is a lot of people saying that they like it. That's what these respectfully disagree is. I don't like it. I think it's okay, Vector. The way I describe it is, it's a system that is engaging and interesting. Makes no sense. That's my opinions on the subject.
Well, the way that I view it is that it's essentially the same way that, the Swedish made the Vasa, and it was supposed to be this big, magnificent flagship, bigger, more cannons than anything else they produced for their fleet. Or, in a more modern one, you have the Yamato, the pride of the Japanese Navy, bigger ship, more guns, That's what I got. That's the sense I got for what the flagship system was going for. Not every country had one, but I get what it was going for. It wasn't great, but it wasn't a detriment either.
Yeah. It's like I far from miss it is the thing. If they still had it, I'd be like, okay. But it's a feeling of just like with all of this realism we're getting, and then you suddenly have this thing where it's like, oh, open up this funky window to customize your special ship, and if you add this part, it gives your entire navy a better ship trading power, and this makes them faster, and the whole fleet gets all of these buffs. Because basically it was just like a buff to your entire fleet for having the ship in it. But anyway, naval doctrines are a law now. Interesting.
We already saw that in a previous dev diary.
Did they? Yeah, they did show us a brief glimpse at that. I think we saw like 2 of them.
Well, we saw the naval laws, and it's literally the EU4 naval doctrines just turned into laws.
Oh,
It's literally the exact same values and the exact same effects.
yeah. No wonder it was so easy for my mind to glaze over it. But it was just a yep. Okay, that's a thing. I'm down. I'm down for that though. There will be 4 Tinto maps feedback for this week. What?
The fourth Tinto maps feedback when they post, after they've gone through and incorporated people's feedback.
I feel like only ever going to be building naval infrastructure in the best possible spots now. That's not true. And if you do, then you will suffer. Or just say screw it and dump all the money into every province. But that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think there's a lot of logic to investing first and primarily in those natural ports. Build up London, build up, Constantinople, build up Athens, build up Messina, because you get all those nice perks, reducing the cost and the build times and everything. So
Right.
it's like,
Why
why not build those up first?
I wouldn't put my capital in London. First of all, if I'm playing in the British Isles, I'm putting my capital in Wales. Unironically, I think Wales is probably
A choice.
Actually, the fact that all of these places out here have such good port, there's some really really good ports out here. Maybe it is better to have it in just the okay place of London, the okay natural port. I don't remember how.
This is hardly the only thing that is affecting where the best capital placement is. I mean, it's kind of like going back to Spain.
Yeah, you're right. There is a lot of things. It does make it easier to engage in trade with the people out here in Europe, for example, because that's where your trade is located and it's right next to them. Yeah, because there is a lot of inland stuff here as well. And if you have your capital in Wales, then the mountains stop you from projecting your control well over England's heartland. So if it's in London, you can more effectively control it with the roads in here.
For me, the two best capitals for England are either London or York, depending on what you're going for.
Yeah, it wouldn't be York directly for me. It would be, what is this, Grimsby? Gilsby? This place a couple counties south of York. That's here, because that's an okay port. I don't know. But yeah. I guess because all the people are in the south too. Yeah, London really is just the best place for the capital because all the people are down here. There's so many more people in the south than the north, from what I remember. So
yeah, that's just always been the case with England. Southern and central England have always held like 2/3 of the British Isles population. It's kind of bonkers.
Do we think that EU5 will be easier to mod than EU4?
There's only so many more moving parts. I don't think in terms of the script it will be harder. But I think simply it's a much more complicated beast. It's already shaping up to be. So we'll see.
Because EU4 is a complicated and like confusing game to learn because of how many different mechanics that are like unrelated to each other exist. But
most of the mechanics in EU4, because of the DLC model, they're compartmentalized. They don't really intersect or interact, so you can ignore them.
That's what I was getting at, is that the EU4 is a lot easier to mod because of that. That aspect of it makes it really easy to mod, but it does not make it easy to learn. Now, one of the big things for me is the fact that Johann seemingly has a very particular. I need to just load up Imperator and see what like the code for the different counties is. I want to see how that code works because I'm terrified that if he does the same thing to code counties that he did in if he does the same sort of like EU4 code, I will die. I will just explode. Oh, because there's so many. It's like basically every province. Is Dark's been quiet a while. Is he here still? No, I guess not.
No idea.
I think in EU4 every province, I think it's on like a state basis, where it's like every state or something has its own file. But it just but and the numbers, so like Vector, the way that they give IDs to counties in EU4, it's just numbers. There's no letters at all. They don't tell you anything. It's just oh. It's terrible. It's terrible to look at. But yeah. Will it be easier to mod? I don't know, but I'm gonna be trying my damnedest to make it work. And anyone who is interested in learning, I guess, come hang out with me as I try to make a mod. I have cookies. Alright. Okay, so just say screw it and dump all the money into every province as a port. Would there be a downside to making basically every province a port? Other than the cost. If you got the money to spend.
If you have the money to burn, might as well do it, but yeah.
I guess.
Probably not the most optimal use of your resources. Because
Yeah.
I don't think every province needs to be a port. So long as you have, one port every so far along the coast, I think you're perfectly fine.
I doubt you need that many sailors, yeah. It comes into a question of like, is this you're playing a sweaty MP game and your opponent, you're playing England versus Spain and Spain is pumping out tons of ships and it's like, well, I need more harbors now to get more sailors to supply my ships and stuff. That could make sense, I guess. But as you say, yeah, I can't imagine that it is the best use of your funds to build really, really expensive ports because we saw that, the price is substantially reduced for having a good natural harbor. So I am sure that it's really, really bad if you don't have any natural locations. But find this whole Debdari quite Hollandish. Yes. Yes. Do rivers have separate tiles? What? Do rivers have separate tiles which subdivide them so you have to pay multiple times if you want? I assume that rivers don't count like, oh, it's this section of the river. I assume it's just that having a river in a province makes it easier for control to move along the river. However it decides that. They're still not sure how to handle Venice. I love this. They can't. They will never decide. It pings Pavia. Help! Help! How do we do Venice? Johann has not played. Okay. Huh. So Johann hasn't played a lot of Mayo and Taxes himself, but some of their team has talked a lot about it or played it. Interesting. Before you get advanced, will there be a difference in how this calculation works for control versus markets? Goods more important than all as goods equal taxes. Huh? I don't know. I guess he's saying goods are prioritized somehow. I'm not sure how that works. Whatever. Hope Navy traditional matter and be hard to get and maintain, so a landlocked country can't just conquer a port, build a 50 heavy ship doomstack, and be lord of the seas. Yes, yes, I'm sure that will not be feasible. I like the disagreement over whether automatic transport functions properly. Unique ships. Yeah. Gee, note. Ah, yeah, I guess Calais wasn't a natural harbor, huh? Yeah, it's just not listed there as a natural harbor. Interesting. He's taking note of it because it's a recent feature. Interesting. What are major rivers counted as, and still wish to see those and be navigable? He's going to talk about that in a couple weeks. In 4 to 12 weeks. 4 to 12 weeks. He's going months ahead. Woo! Can't believe there's so many things for him to talk about it. Talk about in a few weeks ports that are closed during part of the year. Oh, interesting. Oh my god. This post, man. This post, what the heck?
Paradox players are going to Paradox players.
BTW, you added a button in EU4 to clean entire provinces of natives. Please let it return.
Wow, I'm getting vibes about the guy Jamie banned.
Jamie banned someone? I don't know, where have you
A
been,
while
Dark?
ago.
Where you been?
Things.
Things, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love my favorite feature in EU4 is when you spend military power to just destroy all of the natives in a province. Wow. Oh my god. Ugh. Hmm. Harbor suitability is a scripted feature, and you already know where to post that kind of. Okay. You can change harbor suitability. Nice. I can imagine there being fun ways that you can have an event happen, like I don't know, there's some sort of earthquake happens and it just fucks up the geography of a region. And just for the rest of the game that place is less good as a natural harbor. Ah, the stripes on land are ports you don't have access to. Makes sense. Okay, you can increase maritime presence with buildings. That's nice. That's nice. It's not all just putting ships in the sea zone. Right? Yay! We're gonna get the sea. They're gonna show us the harbor suitability in future maps. Yay! Difference between population and development. Population, people living there. Development, roads and houses. Nice, nice. Yes.
Essentially, development's another way of speaking of infrastructure. generically.
If anything,
Honestly, it might be a bit cleaner if they were to change development to infrastructure.
yes, I would.
Something like that.
I'd kind of prefer that too, due to how much people are going to have that sticking, like development stuck in their head from EU4. But I mean, they use it. They use it for a similar thing in CK3 as well. So it's like I don't know. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. It's a
Yeah.
pretty recognizable name that people generally will understand the meaning of. The galley became virtually obsolete in European navies by the late 18th and early 19th century. Is this shown in Project Caesar? The latest generic galley model is the Zebek, which comes in the age of absolutism.
So yes,
There's an age afterwards? I think the Age of Revolutions is the last one.
Yeah, there's at least one more. Since it ends in the 1800s.
Yeah. So, yeah. Stops being as good. Very much so. Becomes unusable by the late 1800s, it sounds like. Still think we could use a very expensive canal building that acts as a major river for trade and proximity control. Yeah, that would be. I guess that's talking about just inland canals, I suppose. I don't know. I think China is one of the most famous places for building that sort of thing.
The Grand Canal.
The impact on blockades much stronger. Ships that don't have guns will have an abstracted gun value. Abstracted. And very low. I'm imagining, yeah. Fucking, oh, imagine if they bring back war canoes. There's no way. If they bring back the war canoe ships for Native Americans. Oh. Oof. Fun fact, there was a stage in history where there were Native Americans sticking the European cannons on canoes. That was a thing that happened in Canada, on the West Coast. The Haida were nuts, man. Can we see an achievement Hulk smash when we sink an enemy heavy ship with a Hulk? Yes! We need 200% transport combat ability.
5,000% transport combat ability.
Who gets that, Dark? Who's getting it? Who do we give? We give Cairo 5,000% transport combat ability. uh... Oh, Malta is one of the 63 locations with 100% suitability. Ooh, nice. And I wonder if any great powers are going to want to take it for that specific reason, huh? We usually haven't shown road maps being zoomed in. Okay, so if you zoom in very far, you can see roads. So they don't want to show it, and they don't want to show it off, really. Okay. Still work in progress. Yeah. I really want to see what it looks like when you zoom in super far. Starting to run out of interesting things to say. Oh god. Oh god, canoes are the most primitive galley you can build. They currently have a fearsome 1 cannon and an indomitable 1 hull size. Hashtag wooden wall. Oh god. They are bringing back the canoes.
The war canoes are coming.
The war canoes are coming. Yes. If give me the fearsome, unique hide a war canoe, or I'll riot. What is this? Does Tunis get a bonus due to its old Carthaginian port infrastructure? Excuse me?
No.
What? What? No, there is no remaining Punic infrastructure in 1337, but Tunis has good natural harbor suitability because of the geography. Yeah, I am shocked and amazed that there is nothing left of old Carthage. Whoa. Oh, there's even a comment about wait. Okay, I actually want to go back to see that last thing. Project Caesar prohibiting modifier put on galleys. There's a lot of people hating on galleys here. I like this is really funny. I imagine galleys are going to be absolutely insane in those narrows locations and inland seas, but like, yeah, there really needs to be something that stops them from being able to be used on the high seas.
Trash galleys.
But then you could, I guess, give some Polynesian cultures unique ones that are better. Because like Polynesians sail on the high seas with their fucking canoes all the time. The admiral is a ghost. Yes, ghost admiral. Building ships uses lumber? Yes.
Ships are made out of tree.
This may surprise you, but the ship requires wood. It probably requires wood, cloth, and whatever the cannons are being made out of at a given time. Seeing Brittany, my homeland, with such good ports, who can even compete with Constantinople, makes me happy. Yes. Yes, Brittany is a great start to try, yes.
Oh, is that your other first game?
Yes! Yes, of course. First game, guys. See you day 1, EU5. Do. No. Oh, nice to see that monuments are still there, but now as special buildings and giving only realistic and local bonuses. Thank you. Unique special buildings feel so much better. Okay. Okay, this
Are
is
you
good.
saying I can't get plus 10 discipline from a building anymore?
You should probably not be getting plus 10 discipline from having a building in your country, yeah.
Darn.
Like, I'd be on board with maybe a tiny bit of that in special circumstances. A tiny bit of like global bonuses. But those should be rare and very specific with what they are. Right.
And that is it?
That is
Any
it.
cool threads?
I bet. No War of Independence, please. Okay.
Wow.
Naming inconsistencies, Italy feedback. That already saw that. Yeah.
No, not really.
Nah. Arabic nations gold inflation of Mansa Musa. All right. Well, just reaching the 2 hour mark, I suppose we're done with this one. Yeah. Vector Vector made it to the end.
I know. This is shocking.
I'm so proud of you. Oh, maybe he's not here.
He didn't make it to the end.
He didn't make it to the end. We're so close to greatness. But he was killed.
Or were you when Vector was killed? I was on stream. Talk about Tinto talk.
Mm-hmm.
Vector is kill.
Vector is kill.
No.
All right. Yep. Day 0 campaign is Brittany. Yeah. Because obviously they're going to give me early access to test out the game, and they'd be like, guys, I got to play the first 50 years of EU5, and here are my thoughts. And then I will play Brittany for that.
If you like, comment, and subscribe and help make sure Joffrey's channel gets bigger, there's a higher and higher chance that they give him early access to EU5.
Come on,
so if you want to see that epic EU5 content as soon as possible, make sure you subscribe and you ring that fucking bell.
Destroy it, smash that bell, and tenderly caress the comment section down below. Alright. Alright. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!